Isn't it tricky when we have a blank page and we don't know where to start from or what to say? Hola, bienvenidos a GCSE Spanish Practice. My name is Marina, and today we're going to take a look at the writing paper for both foundation and higher to the overlap question, which is the 90 words question, which is worth 15 marks out of 50. So what are we going to do in this video? We'll define the task. So what is it that we need to do? I'll give you some reminders, some tips. I'll work through a model question that I put together, and then I'll go through what to include to access top marks. I cannot show you the mark scheme for copyright reasons, but how to get a 9 to 10 for communication, how to get a 5 marks for language, I can do. And finally, you can work on your own answers and make sure to type them in the comment section so I can take a look and give you some feedback. ¿Preparados? ¿Preparadas? Bueno, so define the task. Now, this is question 2 if you're doing higher, or question 5 if you are doing foundation. It's a question that looks like this. You are writing an article, a post, something. That's not really important. What's important is the topic. And then it says write approximately 90 words. That means a minimum of 90. And then you have to include information about 3 bullet points, which give you the information in English. And in this video, we're going to work on this. Mention whether you prefer summer or winter holidays, your ideal holiday, what would it be like, and a good holiday in the past. So tell me about the time when you went to who knows where. Okay, so that is what we have to do. Now, some reminders. Time is really important. You have to keep an eye on the clock, and this is how long you have for foundation, and just slightly 5 more minutes for higher. Okay. You have a choice of 2 tasks, not in this video, but when you have your exam, you can choose. So take your time to choose wisely. The instructions are in English, so that shouldn't be a problem. As soon as you sit down, draft a plan before you start writing your answer. So I'll get into this bit later. But you have to write notes. You can write notes, okay? So as soon as you sit down, write down structures, reminders, vocabulary, connectives you really want to remember, okay? Then 90 words is the minimum. It says around. If you go 1 or 2 words down over below 90 words, that's fine. But if it's 85, 80, then you will start being marked down for content, okay? So you want to make sure that you include that. I'm not saying you have to count words, but the other important thing is when you're doing this, you do not overcomplicate your answers, okay? So you write something that you are quite confident that you think it's correct and that is going to work. In order to avoid counting words all the time, I would say we have to aim to write 4 sentences in Spanish per bullet point, more or less. And you have to have a final read. I know sometimes we think, oh, I'm running out of time. You have to leave those 5 minutes at the end of the activity that you have just completed, or maybe 2 minutes or 3 minutes, much better than nothing, okay, to go through it before moving on to the next bit. There's something that I haven't included because I didn't want to write it down, but some reminder is the examiner will not see your name. They don't know what school you come from. They know nothing. They only see a scanned picture of your writing. So lie if needed, okay? This is really important. You can lie so that you don't have to overcomplicate your answers. So you can always say things that you don't really do. That is fine. No one is going to call your parents because they don't know who you are. Okay, they have no clue who you are, which I think is a really good thing when you're marking. And then finally, anything you write down that you cross out will not be marked. So that goes back to your notes. Okay, if at the end when you have in a final read, you don't want to leave anything there that you could think, oh, I don't want this to be marked, just cross it out. All right? Right. So now the next bit is let's work through a model question. Again, we went through the model question. You have to write about your holidays, 90 words minimum, and then do these 3 bits. And it's really important that we cover all 3, okay? So I'm going to give you a model answer that I came up with fairly easy language. And I'm going to start with the first paragraph. So whether you prefer summer or winter holidays. Okay, Before I even get there, I'm going to write some notes around the space I've got, and I'll say, oh, I must remember, write for, and use old rat. I know, this is my paragraph already there. But what is the old rat? This is an acronym the student told me he uses. O is for opinions, L is for language, as in quality of language, range of vocabulary. D is for development. R is for a range of tenses, so make sure those are those tenses. Adjectives, and T is for tenses. So I got this wrong. Wait again. Oops. Yes. R stands for reasons. Okay, so just define what. So opinions, range of language development, reasons, adjectives, and tenses. Okay, I'll call that. So my little rat is happy now, a rat with maracas. I couldn't find an old rat looking for pictures. So there you go. That's what's going to show in the future, that we need to use an old rat. Okay, so personalmente, I started off really strong, like personally. Prefiero las vacaciones de verano porque hace buen tiempo y es más divertido. Right, I gave an opinion. There's a good range of language I developed, saying why with a reason, and then a comparison. So that's really good. Mis actividades favoritas en verano son nadar en el mar y tomar el sol en la playa. And I'm giving some more information about why I prefer summer holidays. So it's quite developed. It's quite good. Okay. I have 1, 2 long sentences. The porque sentence can count as 3. So that's good. Now I'm going to cross this out, and then if I need to add something else, I'll add it later. What your ideal holiday would be. Okay, so I went with this. Me encanta ir de vacaciones. Si fuera posible, me gustaría visitar Menorca en España, porque se puede descansar en la playa y también comer comida deliciosa. So I've got my 4 sentences. Okay, if we cut here, porque, and also, so that's like roughly 4 sentences, and I am providing lots of information, opinions, and an advanced structure. Si fuera posible, if it were possible, me gustaría plus infinitive, visitar. I would like to visit Menorca, and then giving a reason and adding extra information. So that's really good. And then finally, a good holiday in the past. So I know I have to use the past tense. So here we go. Last year, el año pasado, viajamos a Tenerife en las Islas Canarias. We traveled to Tenerife in the Canary Islands, and I am giving that example where it is. So developing, giving more information. Fui en avión con mi familia, more detail. En mi opinión, fue emocionante. It was exciting. And then why? Porque visitamos un volcán que se llama Teide. Que se llama Teide is actually quite advanced as an structure. So it's referring to volcán, un volcán que se llama Teide. So a volcano which is called Teide. And this is really easy to see. I visited a city which is called Tenerife. Visité una ciudad que se llama Tenerife. So it's quite easy to do. Past tense, hizo buen tiempo. The weather was nice. And then, I'm not going to stop there. I want to go a little bit further and say, oh, next year, what do I want to do? This was my experience. Do I want to do it again? El año próximo, quiero visitar, future tense, I want to visit, Tenerife otra vez, again. Pero con mis amigos, porque va a ser más divertido que con mis padres. It's going to be, I want to visit Tenerife again, but with my friends, because it's going to be more fun than with my parents. And we have a comparison here, which is also advanced language. Okay, so with everything we've done, it's 111 words. I counted them. Obviously with a tool, but not me, I didn't go counting. And I think the old rat should be happy. Okay, so let's take a look. So what to include to access top marks? Okay, we covered the 3 bullet points, okay? No, they don't need to be equally covered, but they need to be developed and covered. We made sure we wrote at least 40 words with 4 sentences per bullet point, 3 if we really run out of ideas. What you say is clear. Simplify if not. I used fairly easy vocabulary that kind of overlaps foundation and higher. Okay, some higher structures like un volcán que se llama Teide, but really that's not so difficult. Structures like the past tense for irregular verbs, all of that needs to be clear. If I'm not sure how to say it, then I'll stick to fui en avión, fue emocionante, which we all know how to say. Vale? Ideas are consistently developed. Yes, in every paragraph, I gave opinions and then a reason. So I gave the reason. I developed by giving examples or by saying 2 things. Mis actividades favoritas son, and then 2 things. Okay. Never stop at the bare minimum. All right. So with this, you could access to the 9 to 10 marks band, okay, which is really good. And then we'll take a look at language. We can get 5 marks if we avoid vocabulary repetition. So not saying playa, Tenerife, sol all the time, for example. We have 2 playas here, but that's not a problem because there's lots of other vocabulary. Descansar, tomar el sol, nadar. What else have we used? Avión, volcán, all of that this is variety. So that's really good. We use the past, the present, and the future tenses. Okay. The paragraphs normally in the bullet points, you can see what tenses you need to use, but sometimes we can mix them in a paragraph as well, as long as this is done properly. Okay. So I did all the past tense for the 3rd paragraph, and then I went on saying next year I want to go to Tenerife again. Okay. Why? Because I wanted to use complex sentences. So, quiero visitar is complex, okay, because it's a verb followed by an infinitive, and the otra vez, okay. And then I wanted to use this comparison because I remember that comparison is complex, so I just thought it was a good opportunity to use that. Now, the final check for accuracy. Obviously, this text is a model text, so it is accurate, but I would go through it checking that verbs are correct, typical spelling mistakes, and so forth are correct as well. We don't have much time because we have to move on, if you're doing higher, onto the last question, which is the biggest chunk of that exam, but we always check, okay? And that way you make the old rat happy and play with its maracas. So now it is your turn to work on your own answers. I can leave this here. You can pause the video. You can take a look at the way I've completed it. And if you're happy, you can pop it in the comments, your answer, and I'll very happily check for you. Okay? Bueno, I hope this helped. Y nos vemos la próxima vez. Adiós y gracias.